Aloha and welcome to Keali Inui Botanical Gardens. My name is Fredrick Honig and I'm here to share with you a vision of my life experience. And in a way I feel that I'm a scientist of consciousness. All of my life I've really been fascinated about what is really going on planet Earth and what is this life drama about. And I lived for 20 years as a monk in a yoga ashram, and I've studied with probably the most renowned spiritual teachers in the world. And I'm an experimenter. I'm like Lewis and Clark, coming back and reporting my findings. And so this is my humble attempt to share with you what wisdom I've gained and where I'm at and what I can offer. And somehow to me it seems useful, like when I've spoken with other teachers and other people who are on the spiritual path, and I hear their report and their intake, it's useful to compare. I think that each person ultimately has to be his or her own guru, that we are all on an incredible journey in life. And to me it appears as though this life is a play and a game, and the goal of the game is to get back to where we always were and are even now. Like in our deepest essence, who we are here and now, always have been and always will be, is consciousness itself. The eternal unitive field of consciousness is who we are. And there's only one field. It's not like there's many fields. We're all ultimately one consciousness field. And for the sake of fun, it appears that we take on or we sign up for a play. And in this play, we appear to have free will, and we appear to create our own world around us. And I believe in a certain way that that's true, that within life, in this play, each person on planet Earth has the free will to create their own reality and their own world. And each person does that. And so within this one realm of Earth, there is the incredible variety from heaven to hell that people experience on planet Earth, depending on the energy that they're putting out. And what I offer here is my take on how to experience life as heaven, and how to live on heaven, in heaven on earth. To live in heaven on earth, to make your experience of living on planet Earth heavenly. And all of the spiritual teachers ultimately give that one, are more or less about that, like how to experience God or consciousness or the essence of who we are while we're living. And so I'm going to offer my humble recipe for experiencing that in a nutshell. The ancient sage Patanjali gave the Ashtanga yoga, or the 8 limbs of yoga that lead the individual from individual consciousness to unitive consciousness, from the sense of being a person to the realization of being the unitive field. And that is what I'm happy to share in a nutshell. The first 2 limbs are yama and niyama. Yama is and niyama are basically the ethical perfections. Each person on planet Earth has a foundation. That is, what is it that we're standing upon? What is the foundation of our life? And the only foundation that will support the edifice of spiritual growth is total ethical perfection. And that is the first stage of spiritual growth, is that your word is your bond. Like your thought, your word, and your deed have to be in perfect alignment with each other. That creates the strong foundation upon which the spiritual growth can occur. And it's basically, to achieve that, the easiest way to achieve that is we have to, from the moment, realize, who are we? Like, who am I? If you think yourself to be a person on planet Earth with a mind and a body and the ability to choose what to do, if you take yourself to do that, to be that, then see each other person and every other animal and all of nature as manifestations of the same energy as yourself. Like, as you're looking at a table, the chair, the rock, the tree, anything that's in front of your face, see that as God in its full glory. No matter where you look, you see nothing but the unitive field. There's not a variety of different beings here. It's all the one essence that expresses as all the different beings on planet Earth and all the different beings in the universe and the universe itself. The one unitive field is the universe. It's all the atoms, it's all the consciousness, it's all the moving, it's the entire field itself. And it's what's beyond that field too, which is just pure consciousness. So to experience ourselves as pure consciousness, the foundation is see everyone and everything as the unitive field, as your own self, and treat everything with perfect integrity. That means in making a decision, take the well-being of the person or the thing that you're interacting with as well as your own, as important as your own well-being, and see that each interaction is a win-win for both. That means that whatever you do in your life benefits you, but it also benefits whoever you're affecting. Be fair, be honest, be generous in your life, and that leads the foundation of ethical perfection. Phase 1, Yama Niyama. The next is asana. Asana basically are the yoga postures that help to strengthen the body, but ultimately it's how you use your body, keeping your body relaxed, keeping your body healthy, keeping your body radiantly blissful. The body itself has its own consciousness, and in order to be totally healthy, I'll say one thing about the body, and also about yama and niyama, is that having a pure vegan diet will make the body healthy. Because asana means a steady, comfortable body. It means, literally, asana means a pose. This is an asana that I'm in. It's a pose that could be used for meditation. Ultimately, one has to transcend the body, or at least to feel that the body is so comfortable that you can really feel your own consciousness without being distracted by the body. So when the body is totally healthy, then it becomes invisible in a way in your consciousness. It's only when it's sick or hurt that it really complains, but otherwise it's kind of in the background. So as much as possible, keep your body healthy, eat a pure vegan diet, which also does not hurt the animals. It's the most respectful diet to planet Earth. And I'll just take a moment to say why. That whatever we eat, the subtle essence of that becomes our mind. It affects our mind, the vibration field of that food. And when you eat vegetables, they're so happy to offer themselves to you. Like plants, the deal with plants is that humans propagate plants and plants feed humans and all other animals too. Like when an animal eats the plant, it also distributes its seeds and it helps that plant grow. So plants and animals have a perfect synergy without any violence. But animals have this very highly developed consciousness, and so by hurting animals, we actually create violence that ultimately will come back and affect us. Whatever energy we put out in the world comes back to us. If there's no doubt about that, or we shape our entire world around us from the energy that we put out. So if we put out a loving, kind, generous energy that's not harmful, that same type of energy comes back to us in our lives, and that's what we experience. And that's why Jesus said, do unto others as you would have them do unto you, because whatever you do unto others, in fact, will be done unto you. So don't hurt animals. Animals are divine. Animals are our own brothers and sisters. They have the most highly developed consciousness. We as humans don't even understand the wisdom of animals, but animals live simply close to nature. In a certain way, they're closer to God than humans because they live in a simple, close to nature format. So we as humans should be merciful, and we should be the benefactors of animals. Like all of creation, we should help each species grow, and that will help us in our progress also. So that's, we have yama, niyama, asana. The next is pranayama. Pranayama is the breathing practices that we do, but even to learn how to breathe slowly and gently and to breathe through the nose helps to calm the mind. Like the link between the body and the mind is the breath. So if you can keep the breath regulated and keep it slow and steady and deep, it helps to calm the mind. And there's a whole science of pranayama which I suggest you learn at some point in time. So, yama, niyama, asana, pranayama. Excuse me. The next is pratyahara. Pratyahara means sense control. Ultimately, we want to withdraw the senses and bring them in under our control. It's in a way easier to control where the mind, where the hand is going, where the body is going, than the mind. So we start by just bringing the attention within. Ultimately, the bliss and the consciousness are all within us. It's not that we have to become blissful. We are already blissful. It's just that we have to find it behind the screen of our movie. It's something like if you go to the movies, what you will see of the movies is this constant movement of the film and the light. Like when you go to the movie theater, you're always seeing the projection of the film and the light onto the screen, but you don't normally see the screen. The screen itself is similar to the consciousness that we have. Like if you want to see the reality that's always there at the movie theater, it's the screen and the light. They're the parts that never change. The screen is always the same, the light is always the same. What's constantly changing is the movie. But in order to see the screen of your consciousness, which is your own inner bliss, you have to get the thoughts to stop moving. And then the light will project directly onto the screen of your consciousness. So this analogy is, if you get the movie or the thoughts to stop flowing, the light of your own consciousness falls onto the screen and you experience yourself as bliss. And that's what we really all want. Like we all want to live in the bliss of our own true nature, and we're all trying to achieve that by many different means. Like we think that if I get this, I'll be happy. If I get that, I'll be happy. Happiness itself is our nature, our own nature, and we achieve that by going within, and that means pratyahara. Yama, niyama, asana, pratyahara. The next is dharana. Dharana is concentration. In a way, in order to get the mind under our control, the easiest way to start is just to get the mind to think about one thing. Ultimately, we want the mind to stop thinking. But the mind is so used to moving that the easiest way to just get control of it is to get the mind to think about one thing at a time. And for that, a type of meditation has been given where you concentrate the mind into one moment. In a certain way, I would say that the real experience is to just experience the here and now moment without any comment. Just that is like the ultimate blessing of life. The highest blessing of life is just to experience every here and now moment of our lives without any comment, just to experience it. As soon as you even look at a flower, if you say, oh, that's beautiful, in a way, just the distraction of the mind saying that that's beautiful keeps you from really experiencing the beauty of the flower. In a way, if you want to really experience the beauty of the flower, it has to do with the mind totally still and just to absorb the flower, to let the flower be part of your life in that moment, to smell the flower and to really get the scent of it. So all of that is possible when the mind becomes concentrated. So meditation starts with the concentration of the mind, like just keeping the mind fixed on one thing at a time or on the present moment. Awareness is what's called dharana. And then dharana leads into dhyana. And dhyana means meditation. Meditation is the state when the mind is totally absorbed and actually experiencing the consciousness itself without thoughts. And that leads us into samadhi, which is the state of our own union or the realization of who we are, or enlightenment. So we start out with ethical perfection. We go through keeping the body radiantly healthy. We withdraw the senses to bring the mind more inward. We concentrate the mind, and then we allow the mind to be totally still. And then in that stillness, we experience our own inner peace. And that, in a nutshell, is the spiritual path. That's the whole trick of the spiritual path. The great sage Patanjali said in the Yoga Sutras that the very essence of yoga, the very second sutra, defines the essence of what yoga or union or God realization is. And it defines it by this: yoga chitta vritti nirodha. Yoga, or the experience of our own inner bliss, our own union. Yoga means yoke or union. Yoga occurs when the chitta, which is the mind stuff, and its thought forms, which are called vrittis, yoga chitta vritti nirodha, are calmed. Yoga chitta vritti nirodha is the entire essence of spiritual thought. All of spiritual thought, everything, and all of ethical perfection, and all of wisdom can be offered in those few words: yoga chitta vritti nirodha. Yoga, the union will happen, the realization will happen when the mind stuff, the thoughts of the mind, are stilled. That's all that it takes. You turn off the movie, the light will project onto the screen, and you'll see the reality of who you are and what you've always been. It's simple. The truth is so simple. You could say 10,000 words to describe the most simple and basic reality, which is the essence of everyone. Like the consciousness of a butterfly is still the same consciousness within us. They're not different. It's not within a tree, within a rock, within a plant, within everything. The entire universe is created of the same stuff. It's all created from consciousness. That's the truth. It's all an expression of consciousness, the entire universe. In the beginning was the Word. The Word was with God, the Word was God itself. In the primordial essence of the entire universe itself is consciousness. That's what the essence of all the creation is: simple awareness of bliss. The yogis gave it 3 names: Sat, Chid, Ananda. Sat means unending reality and existence. It doesn't fluctuate. It's never really fluctuated. Even the creation of the universe, or not created, it doesn't affect the basic consciousness itself, which is always the same, eternally the same. Sat, Sat, eternally the same. Chid is consciousness. It's eternally aware of Ananda, bliss. Sat, Chid, Ananda. Ananda is the nature of consciousness itself. It's not like the consciousness and bliss and joy are separate. They're interwoven and inseparable. The nature of consciousness itself is bliss. So the unending conscious awareness of bliss is who we are and who we always have been. And that experience is available to anyone who keeps their mind totally still. And even if there is a little fluctuation in the mind, don't have major fluctuations. And now I'll give a little bit about how to experience that inner peace in the state that does not fluctuate. The ancient yogis came up with a simple system. A little drink. Which is called Nada Yoga. Nada Yoga is the easiest way to experience the inner bliss that we are by keeping the mind still. There's the sound that creates the entire universe, the primordial energy field of consciousness itself creates a sound. The actual consciousness that we are, the eternal one, vibrates with the sound that permeates the entire universe, and that it permeates every part of consciousness, and that is called the nada, the most sacred vibrational field. And the nada itself is not actually heard, it's experienced. You might think that you hear it in your ears, but you don't. It's actually, it is part and parcel of consciousness. The same way fire has light and heat. You cannot have fire without having light and heat. You cannot have consciousness without having nada. Nada and consciousness are interwoven. And the easiest way to come to the conscious state of oneness is through the nada itself. You just follow that sound, meditate on that sound, become one, let that permeate your entire being, and that will ultimately generate the experience of oneness. And the nada itself is not a simple tone. Like, I'm going to make a little clue for you to experience it, but it's a whole choir. It's not a simple one note or anything like that. It's the divine choir. It's the sound of all of the planets spinning, every electron moving. Everything in nature hums with the same tone ultimately. And it sounds something like this. These are ancient Tibetan temple bells that are made to give the example of what the nada sounds like. And this is a modern version of the same gift. So, if you want to hear that sound, the easiest thing to do is to hum for a moment, and then sometimes to wear earplugs. Like if you have any trouble hearing that sound, ultimately you'll hear that sound when the mind becomes still. If you can ever hear that, you can hear it. Sometimes it sounds as though it's a ringing sound in your right ear is a good place to start to hear it. If you listen quietly when there's no other sounds, or if you go into a cave, or if you wear earplugs, you can hear what sound is there when there's no other sound. You ask yourself that question. Go swimming, dive down deep, and listen. What sound is there when there's no sound? You'll hear this sound if you listen. And if you have a little hard time hearing it, the yogis came up with a system called it's a type of Brahmari, which is a humming breath. And you can do it. It's kind of a funny thing I'll show you. It closes off the senses. You put your thumbs in your ears, your index fingers rest on your upper eyelids, the middle fingers rest on the bridge of your nose, the index finger on the upper lips, and the pinky below lips, and it more or less closes off your senses, and then you hum. And you can do that for a couple minutes, like humming like that. And that also will help you to hear the nada. So that is the easiest form of meditation. And sometimes the mind might be a little too restless and you can't hear the nada. That's the goal. If you can't hear the nada, then yogis have mantras. A mantra is like a training wheel to a bicycle. Ultimately, you have to go beyond mantra and to hear the nada. Mantra is just used as a invocation to hearing the nada. And most mantras have a kind of sound that sounds very similar to the nada. And so the most basic one is hreem. It's H-R-E-E-M, hreem. And to combine it with om makes a kind of humming sound. And om itself and hreem are the same thing. It's like you go hreem, 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 hreem. And you can hear that it sounds like the nada. So by repeating hreem for maybe 5 minutes or so, you'll start to hear the nada. It sounds like the nada, and it makes the brain, the whole head vibrate. And that's why a mother hums to her baby. It's the same sound. That humming sound is the sound that calms the mind. It's the most powerful calming sound to the mind, because it's the basic vibrational field of the universe. It's the substratum of consciousness, is that sound, the nada. The nada is called. And to hear it, you have to know your own mind and to come up with something that is enjoyable to you. I'll say this whole thing about meditation is the whole trick of meditation is that it has to be something that you love more than anything else. That becomes, ultimately, it will become your closest blessing and something that you will not miss. Like whatever happens in your life, you love it so much that you'll make the time for it. In order to do that, you have to make it fun for the mind. You have to train the mind gradually. Don't scare the mind. It's like we have these beautiful doves here and peacocks. If you run up to them, they'll think that you're trying to shoo them away. They fly away. You have to be very gentle and kind with them and kind of inviting to them. The mind is just like that. You have to treat the mind like a gentle dove and train it that way. Give it something that's a blessing to it and make it enjoyable as you do it. Like, even if you start meditation just a few minutes at a time and gently work up your time, see that you're comfortable. Even if you sit with the pillow with your lower back and lean back so that your chest is still expanded rather than having to sit up, that's okay too. You want your body to be relaxed. You want your breath to be relaxed. You want your mind to be relaxed. Let go of all kinds of thoughts and worries and concerns. And a certain way, one of the greatest ways to be able to meditate is you have to have peace with God. You have to trust the unitive field totally, because ultimately you're going to dissolve everything that you know into the unitive field. You'll forget who you are, what you are, where you are. Everything that you are and that you think that you are, you dissolve into oneness. And it's safe to do that. You have to know that. Without having the confidence in God, faith in God or faith in the unitive field, you'll always be holding on to your own free will and my own self. You'll be afraid to dissolve. Ultimately, you have to dissolve. You have to let go of everything that you think is you to experience consciousness itself, pure and devoid of fluctuation. And that is the greatest blessing. And with that, you gain all wisdom. Everything comes to the one who dissolves into the bliss. I'll tell you, this is the ancient sloka that tells that point. It goes like this: Om Karam, which Om Karam is the vibration of Om, or the nada. Omkaram Bindu Samyuktam. Bindu is the seed of the universe, the marble. Right before the Big Bang, the entire universe was contained in a space smaller than a marble. The original seed of the universe, which was also nothing other than the expression of the nada. The nada, the consciousness that we are, became the bindu. And then that manifests ultimately with the Big Bang as the entire universe. The Omkaram is united with the very essence of the universe. Bindu Sam Yuktam. Yuktam is united with yoga, yoke, Yuktam. Nityam Dhyayanti Yoginaha. Eternally meditated upon by the yogis. The yogis are ever aware of the sound of the nada. When they're driving, when they're talking, when they're moving, when they're doing everything, the nada is permeating their being as they're operating. Nityam Dhyayanti Yoginaha. Kamadam Mokshadam Chave. Kamadam means it offers all worldly desires. Kama, done, is to give. Like the word donation came from that. Kamadam, it gives everything you need on planet Earth. If you abide in the nada consciousness, all wealth, beauty, health, everything comes to you. It's not like the Mother Nature is cheap or she doesn't want to give it to you. She gives her pearls to he or she who knows how to use them well. Anyone whose life is dedicated to the well-being of all will be richly rewarded, and their life will be enhanced in a way that they'll have the power, the wealth, the energy to serve the planet, which is their greatest desire. And the one will give to everyone who has that intention and who has that clear consciousness. Kamadam, mokshadam. It gives ultimate, moksha is ultimate liberation. It gives all worldly desires as well as final liberation. And then the word comes chaive. Chaive means it is veritably so. It's the most legal of all languages. It means cha is and, eva is definitely so. It's like says that the nada will give the moksha and everything you need definitely. Om Karaya Namo Namaha. To that incredible vibration of Om, my unending salutations. The whole sloka sounds like this. Om Karam Bindu Samyuktam Nityam Dhyayanti Yoginaha Kamadam Mokshadam Chaive Om Karaya Namo Namaha. So all you have to do is be aware of the nada, and in a way everything else in your life will follow. It's something like in an orchestra, before the orchestra starts to play, the conductor has a pitch, and he hits the tuning bar. The orchestra leader does that. Everybody tunes to the same note. And that's what the nada is. The nada is the common note of consciousness. By tuning to that, you get everything. Everything comes to you. All wisdom comes. Everything comes. It's the divine channel, is the nada. If you have trouble hearing the nada, earplugs are the easiest thing to do. You can get these, you just roll them a little bit with your thumbs and you put them in your ears. You hold for a moment, they expand, and then they hold in your ear channel. And when there's total silence like that, it becomes very easy to hear the nada. If you can't hear the nada, you just chant Hreem, 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 Hreem. Or if you like more, you can chant Om Hreem, Om Hreem, Om Hreem, Om. 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 And that is another way of doing it. Or you can be initiated by a guru, who will give you a mantra that's similar to this too, and perhaps a little energy to help you, on your path. So, but ultimately, each person has to be his or her own guru. Each person has to climb the ladder themselves. There's no one who can lift you up the ladder. It's like once you come into this realm of existence, the ladder back to oneness, like back to our own unitive state, each soul climbs one step at a time himself. Nobody can climb the ladder for you. You have to climb your own ladder. The guru will only show you the steps. Any teacher, any person can say, these are the steps I chose and I went up that helped me to understand this. But each person has to ultimately be their own ladder and climb it also. That's the truth. But there is, if you kind of look within, you'll find that anytime anything is true for you, it will resonate and you'll know, oh yes, that's true. Even everything that I'm saying to you now is already within you. It's not like I'm telling you something new or giving you some new vision. And there's nothing new under the sun. It's the same play that has been going on with the same recipe for all millennia. There's no other path that I know of. It's you follow this one way or other. Everyone has to acquire ethical perfection. Everyone has to bring their attention within. They have to keep their mind still, let go of thoughts and experience the present moment. And I'll tell a little bit about that, how to be here now, how to experience life in its every moment is keep the mind still. Whatever you see it as God. Whatever you look at, whatever's in front of your face, see it like that. And you don't have to comment on it, just observe it. One way you can do, here's a little experiment you can do, is just walk around in a circle. Or you can sit quietly and meditate either way. And anytime you see a thought, say, oh, that's a thought. That's a thought. And as soon as you say that's a thought, you can let go of it. It's just a question of identifying it. Every time a thought comes up into your mind, say that's a thought. And if you do that, soon within 5 minutes, you'll see the difference between consciousness and thoughts. Once you have that, you have a huge step forward. It's the greatest. You'll know you're not your thoughts. It's just thoughts are an energy that come up through the mind, but consciousness is the witness of them. And you'll try to experience life as consciousness. Just be conscious of everything without thinking. And that is the greatest good you can do. That is the ultimate meditation. It's not like meditation is just sitting quietly. Meditation is while you're up and doing. When I drive, I can drive from here to the other side of the island without hardly generating a thought. It works just fine. I'm the safest driver. My mind is completely involved in what is here and now. I see everything. I see behind, I look in the rear view mirror. I'm very aware of everything. It's the safest way to drive is with, you're not distracted by your own mind. You're meditating on driving. When I'm cooking a meal, I don't think. You don't have to think to cook a meal. The whole meal will be prepared without a thought. And you'll see it doesn't take many thoughts. You could have 1/10 of the thoughts you have, 1/100th of the thoughts you have, and live your life much more effectively. Almost all thought is anxiety, worry, thinking about the past, planning for the future, and all of that distracts us from experiencing the here and now moment. That's the greatest good we can do, is just to experience the here and now moment. All the blessings of life are here and now. All we have to do in life is experience the here and now moment in every moment, and we'll always be in bliss and we'll always know what to do. It's like the greatest consciousness of what we're to do next happens in silence. It's not done through thinking. Like, let go of thinking. Thinking is, you can think occasionally. I'll say, see what the thoughts are. Only allow the mind to think if it's really coming up with useful, wonderful thoughts at the time you want it to. Then otherwise say, stop and be quiet and let me just experience my consciousness. And you'll see the mind will become brilliant by doing that. That's the way to bring out the brilliance of the mind, is when it's all powerful. It only thinks at appropriate times, and its full power is there to come up with the right decision at the right moment in a second. It's not all dissipated. It's powerful and clean and clear. It's like the difference between washing your car with a garden hose and washing it with a pressure washer. It's like when the mind is still and calm and isn't all dissipated, then when it is used, it has very great power, and it can easily blast off the dirt, you know, with like a power washer. So let me just take a moment. The answers are always within. Like, we can ask everybody their opinion, this and that. Ultimately, ask God its opinion. And you get God's opinion by just going within and being quiet and letting it bubble up for you. Like, that's the real way to solve problems. When you're meditating, if recurring thoughts come up, the way to get rid of them is you say, okay, I'll take you at the end. Like, whatever thought it is that comes up over and over again, those are the churning thoughts. Don't let them churn while you're meditating. Say, I'll be quiet now, I'll take you at the end. At the end, just place them into that nada space and let the wisdom come out, and it will come out for you. And to see, you'll see that that wisdom will also agree with your own mind. If you do use your mind and you do pros and cons, you'll see that the wisdom will come up with a brilliant solution for you. We'll have just a moment of meditation, maybe a half a minute. Just keep the eyes closed. Sit comfortably. Allow the breath to relax. Just become aware of the breath and just watch the breath for a moment. Feel your abdomen slightly expanding and contracting with each inhalation. And just allow the breath to breathe you. Don't control the breath. Allow the breath to breathe you. Just witness its flowing, gentle movement. And then bring the attention to the mind and just witness the mind for a moment. Don't try to control it, just witness it. And now allow the breath to repeat a mantra to you. Allow it to say Om on the inhalation and Hreem on the exhalation. So just visualize that as you inhale, the breath chants to you Om, and as you exhale, the breath chants to you Hreem. If you find the mind wandering, you can allow the lips to move a little bit. That'll help you keep tabs of the mind, but otherwise just do it mentally. And now listen for the nada. If you hear the nada, just meditate on that. Let it permeate every cell of your being. Let it become louder than any other sound. Make it as loud as you can. Like, let it just be a divine choir. You can feel it. It sounds as loud as an orchestra in your consciousness. And if you don't hear it, just repeat the Om Hreem until you do. And now just be aware of the consciousness itself, the space when there's no thought. And meditate on the bliss of your own consciousness. Om Shanti. I wish you joy, peace, and immortality. Om Shanti and Aloha. Aloha and welcome. I would like to share with you a teaching of my guru's guru, Swami Shivananda, who was a great medical doctor and a sannyasi who founded Shivananda Ashram, one of the greatest spiritual organizations in the world today, and who wrote over 100 books on yoga and meditation, but whose essence could be defined in just a few minutes, which I would like to offer you. His main teachings were serve, love, give, purify, meditate, realize. That's the entire summation of the spiritual wisdom, could be summed up in those few words. The first is serve. We have to take in this world a stance that will lead us to ultimate union. And the greatest stance for that is service. If we ourselves consider ourselves to be the servant of whatever is in creation, we serve whatever comes to us, and our stance is to be the servant of life. That in itself is the greatest propulsion into spiritual wisdom, is service. Serve. The next is love. That to love everything in creation, every part of creation equally. In a way, that is the greatest wisdom, because all the one unitive field, who we are, expresses as all the names and forms in creation. So to love and serve all is the greatest wisdom. And Khalil Gibran, who also is a wonderful wisdom keeper, said, "He who is worthy of drinking of the ocean of life is certainly worthy of drinking from my little cup." That means anyone who is worthy to be here, manifested in nature, here and now, is certainly worthy of any love and service that I'm able to offer that person. Serve, love, give. Give whatever you have in your life, use it to give and to serve everyone. And that is the greatest blessing. And whatever we give ultimately comes back to us. Like, who are we giving it to? We're giving it to our own self. It's our own self and all the other names and forms. Serve, love, give. Purify. When my teacher, Swami Satchidananda, came into this country, the immigration officers asked, "Well, what is it that you'll be teaching your students? What do you teach?" And he said, "When my students go into a public bathroom, when they come out, that bathroom will be cleaner than when they went in. They'll do something when they're in a public bathroom to make that bathroom cleaner than that was when they went in." So wherever you are in life, whatever moment you're in, do something to make that area better, that person better. Everything that you're in, purify that by your being there. Serve, including your own self. Purify that also. Serve, love, give, purify, meditate. Meditation means bring your awareness within, calm your mind, and be aware of your own inner bliss. That is meditation. And realize is have the experience of oneness. Serve, love, give, purify, meditate, realize. Realize that you are the one. There's nothing here in this universe but one unitive energy field. There is nothing but that. There is no you that is separate from that. There's nobody who's separate from that. We're ultimately all one energy field. And that energy field is love, consciousness, peace, joy, happiness, generosity, devotion. That's the nature of the unitive field. Anyone who resonates with that will experience the unitive field. It's something like if you want to pick up a certain radio station, you have to tune to that station, and then you get that station. If you want to experience God, you have to tune to the God station. God station resonates in a vibrational field of love, service, devotion, meditation, and also the nada. An easy form is to listen to this sound and to try to hear it within. There is an inner sound that one can listen to meditate on, called the nada. The nada is the most primordial of all energy fields. It's the sound of consciousness itself. It's something that will be with us. It is with us now. It always has been with us. It always will be with us. We are not a body in time and space. We are eternal consciousness. The mind itself, the body, are here for us to experience the oneness with. And that's the game of life. The game of life is like hide and seek. It's like we all went to the carnival for fun. The game of life is this. We as eternal consciousness enjoy the nature of our own bliss for billions and billions of years of just being wrapped up in the nature of our own bliss. And one day we say, oh, wouldn't it be fun to go to a movie? And so for the sake of coming to a movie, we create the universe, and we imagine ourselves to be a part in the universal show. We're a player on planet Earth, and we enjoy being that player. In order to have fun, we forget that we're the unit of consciousness, and we imagine ourselves to be a player. And at some point, we get tired of being in the play, and we want to go back and enjoy our universal peace. And when we do that through the nada. The nada is for those people who want to come back and enjoy unitive consciousness. It is the channel back into oneness. And the nada is not something that you're getting new. It's always been there. It's just that we're not aware of it because the mind is always thinking. The mind covers the nada and it covers the consciousness. If we want to experience our own inner reality, keep the mind still, experience the here and now moment, without thought. Let go of thought. Just let go of the need of the mind to always turn. There's nothing to think about. Ultimately, all wisdom comes from silence. It's the thoughts themselves that hide the wisdom that's always there. If you want to go back to unitive consciousness, just let go of the mind. Let the mind be still. Listen to the nada. Follow that into the deepest realm of your consciousness, and you'll feel your own inner wisdom. And if you have trouble hearing the nada, get earplugs. You can roll them a little bit, put them in your ears, hold them until they expand. They'll stay there, and it'll help you to hear the nada sound by wearing earplugs. Or you can chant a mantra that is designed to help hear the nada. Om Hrim, Om Hrim, Om Hrim, Om. Om Hrim, Om Hrim, Om Hrim, Om. Or you can just chant Om Hrim, Om Hrim, Om Hrim. Or you can just do Hrim itself. Hrim, 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 Hrim. Ultimately, you'll hear the nada. If you have trouble hearing it, just meditate on Om Hrim, the repetition of that. Let your breath chant it to you. You can let the inhalation chant Om, the exhalation chant Hrim, and just listen to your breath chanting to you Om Hrim. If you want to know, Hrim could be spelled H-R-E-E-M, Hrim. It's the sound that sounds the closest to the nada. See? Hrim. And if it's hard to say it, to do it in such a high pitch, you could do it in a lower pitch. The mind ultimately catches it and translates it. Even Om is nothing other than the nada. The nada is another way of expressing the nada sound. Is Om. So that is meditation 101 in a nutshell. The whole meditation could be said like this. Number 1, have ethical perfection. Number 2, see everything as the one unitive field. Number 3, focus the mind on the nada. Number 4, dissolve into consciousness, experience your own inner bliss. There is the whole summation of the spiritual plane. Serve, love, give, purify, meditate, realize. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Aloha.